Hello everyone, welcome if you're new to the channel, welcome back if you've been here before. In this video, I have a question for my audience out there, and I want to go through something here that wasn't really obvious and something I didn't think about when I kind of purchased a few of the devices that I have, and but things became clear to me as I started integrating certain devices into my workflow. Now, the question really is are these two devices more in sync than, say, these two devices? Now, these two devices are, of course, two different platforms. We have the Quirklogic Papyr, and then we have the iPad. So the question is again, which two basically fit together better, the paper and the iPad, or the two Onyx Boox devices? Now, first, when I looked at this particular question, I just assumed that because the Quirklogic, the actual Onyx Boox devices are on the same platform, you can have multiple devices syncing to their cloud and getting the information to both of these. And you can work with these two devices where you pick up one and you go with the other. But from what I found here is in the Notes app, the synchronization process between these two devices is is a bit cumbersome, and if you miss a step in the synchronization process, you could not have data on one device when you switch from one to the other. So my scenario is that I start my day on the big device here, wake up in the morning, and when I get to my desk here, I sit down and I start writing in this particular tablet. And once I'm done with this tablet, if I need to get up and go, say leave the house, go on an errand, or just some work that I have to do outside of the house, I would take the smaller device with me. You know, it just seems a little bit, it's more portable for sure, but it just seems like an easy thing where you can just start on one device and pick up and go with the other one that's more portable. But the process that you go through in order to make sure that the information on one is on the other is a bit cumbersome. So you do have to synchronize, and there's a couple different ways here. If we open up a note, let's open up a new one here, Notepad 4. If I want to sync this particular note, I could set it up in the settings to where as I open it, as I just did, it will sync to the cloud, or I can make it to when I close this document and go back to the note home area, it will synchronize, or I can manually synchronize it here. So three different ways to do it. Two ways are you can set them up as automatic, and the one is a manual process. What I found from using these devices, having it automatically sync in the beginning or after actually takes a little bit more time than I like. It does not lend well to moving from one application into the next. So I've disabled the automatic syncing altogether on here, and I manually sync the note when I'm ready to do that sync. So with that, and even in the case of if you're automatically syncing these, you'll see that there's still a little bit more to getting these devices synchronized with the way Onyx does their note syncing to their cloud. If I write in this note right now, I have not synced this at all. It's not automatically set to sync. So it's Notepad 4. We can see that there is no Notepad 4 here. If there was, it should show up on here in this location. Now, if I go ahead and I sync this to the cloud, you see here it takes a little bit of time. not much to sync, it's done, and it does not automatically show up here on this device. That's because we have to actually sync this to the cloud. So if I want this particular note area to sync, and I've seen where some of the time it actually knows that it's out of sync and it will put a little dot above the cloud. So it knows that there's something new in the cloud and that you should sync and run that sync process. But it does not do it automatically. And I found that to be weird. But if I go through and I hit the sync button here to do it automatically, first the Wi-Fi was turned off, so, and I could be in that scenario. It turns the wireless back on, and then let's go back and do the sync. So, and potentially that's why it didn't show the dot, because the wireless was off, but it goes through the sync on this device. Now, what we see here is that it goes through every note that is in the cloud. So it says there's a total of 71 notes, and it has to go through each one of the notes to see if there's been any change in those notes. And if there is, then it does the synchronization for it, and then it moves on. So it is somewhat optimized, but it does have to go through every note. Now, let's bring these two devices, the Quirklogic and the iPad, into the picture. And in this scenario, I have a note open here, this 1220. This is a cloud notebook. There are two different ways to have notes here, either local on the device or one that's particular to the cloud and it syncs to the cloud. Now, if I type over here or write on this note, let's go into the iPad. We'll swipe up. I'm already in the note here, but even if I was not, let's just go and say I was in this note here in the one of the local ones. I just go to the library here. I go to my cloud. I search for that particular note, which is this one, and it pops up. And it's in sync. There is no button I have to hit to sync. There is no button over here that I have to hit to sync. And if we come back to the Onyx Boox, the Nova 2 here, that sync process is still going. We can see it's still going here. So if you're getting the the picture here of how efficient more efficient you can be with the Quirklogic Papyr and the iPad, two different platforms, two ecosystems, and the synchronization of the notes between these two is seamless. It's completely seamless. Now, when I review the Quirklogic Papyr and showed the collaboration of their particular note-taking app with the cloud and other devices, this, it was obvious. It was, I could tell that it was a really good synchronization process that you can use for collaboration. But as I started using the Onyx Boox devices more, just because, they are more feature rich, they're more versatile. But if you're a person that needs to go from one device to the other, and you're constantly switching devices and you want to make sure that your information is always in sync, I would argue that these two devices are better suited to kind of gel together as one, where I can start my mornings on this device taking notes, get all the benefits of the e-ink screen and the writing feel, etc. Grab my iPad, say if I need to go somewhere off to another site, cafe, whatever, I can take my iPad and have every assurance that these notes that I've produced on this Quirklogic Papyr is going to be on this iPad. And one other bonus here is that I can take the pen for this Apple device And then I can actually come over here and write in this app. And we can see how they both sync back and forth in real time. So I can continue where I left off on the paper device on my iPad if I'm out in the field. And this is something that you can do with the Onyx Boox, but if they're not in sync, then you're completely a no-go on there. You're going to either have to duplicate, go back from memory, and if you at least sync to the cloud, then you can come on your iPad or one of your mobile devices and see the information, but you'll never be able to modify and update the notes that you produce on the Onyx Boox devices. Now, this is not to say that these two are better than the Onyx Boox devices. All these devices have their pros, their cons. My only kind of thing I wanted to get out here was to show that where you would think that the two on the same platform from the same company that's running basically the same software would be a bit more suited to work really well together, and you can pick up and go from one device to the other. Is to show that that's really not the case. It's not as seamless. You can do it, but there's a lot of maintenance and things you have to do to make sure that those devices are in sync as compared to the Quirklogic Papyr and the iPad. And really the secret sauce here is what's coming from the Quirklogic Papyr. You know, they've designed this software to be collaborative as it is, and they provide the application for the iPad. They also have one for Android as well, and you get the same type of functionality. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. My name is Anton. Until the next time, have a nice day.